Chapter 1. Prologue and Origins. Long before empires rose and dynasties fell, there stood a mountain unlike any other, its jagged peaks crowned by clouds, its valleys hidden by mist. Flower Fruit Mountain they called it, for in its hidden caverns sprung trees heavy with blossoms and fruits of every hue. Yet its greatest wonder lay not in blossom or fruit, but in a single stone at its summit. 1.1. The Stone Egg and Birth. High on the loftiest peak of Flower Fruit Mountain, where dawn's first light kissed the world and dew hung like diamonds on emerald grass, a great stone had slumbered for untold eons. Smooth and gray, it absorbed the sun's warmth by day and soaked in moonlight by night. Day after day, year after year, the stone grew restless, its surface quivering as if stirred by some unseen force. One tranquil dawn, as crimson rays spilled across the sky, the mountain itself seemed to tremble. With a sound like thunder muffled by cloud, the ancient stone cracked from crown to base. From its fissure slithered a luminous egg, rosy as sunrise, alive with a soft, golden glow. The shell split fully, and from it emerged a creature unlike any seen before. He was small, no larger than a haribut, already possessed of startling poise. His fur shimmered with the iridescence of dawn clouds. His eyes gleamed like polished amber. The newborn shook himself, clearing fragments of shell, and let out a clear, joyous cry that echoed through valley and ridgeline. The other monkeys, for this was still Monkeyland, paused in their morning play. Elder macaques raised arthritic arms in wonder. Mothers hushed their young. Some whispered that the heavens had sent a messenger. Others feared a portent of change. Yet no fear held sway for long, for the creature's first steps were light and playful. He leapt from a boulder to a ledge with effortless grace, landed on a slender branch without breaking a twig, and somersaulted into a pool of crystal water, sending ripples dancing toward the shore. "Who are you?" breathed an elder as the infant monkey emerged from the pool, droplets glistening on his coat. The creature chirped, tilted his head, and bounded up to the elder so close that their eyes met. And in that moment, something passed between them, a spark of recognition, or perhaps an unspoken promise. The elder laid a gnarled hand on its head. "You shall be called Stone Monkey," he declared, "for you were born of earth and spirit." The tribe erupted into celebration. Drumbeats rose like the rushing river below. Flutes answered in airy trills, voices traced joyful melodies. As the music swelled, Stone Monkey danced beneath the boughs, his laughter bright as bells. Beneath it all, the mountain itself seemed to hum, as if greeting its first true child. 1.2 Wonders of Flower Fruit Mountain? In the days that followed, Stone Monkey's gifts revealed themselves in surprising ways. He leapt higher than any of his kin, catching falling blossoms mid-air. He discovered hidden grottos where the fruit glowed with an otherworldly light. When the young monkeys fell ill, he led the elders to a spring whose waters soothed fevers and eased pain. And all the while, he listened to the wind in the canopy, to the stones beneath his feet, even to the silent language of the flowers. Under his gentle guidance, the tribe prospered. Where once food was scarce, now berry bushes thrived in secret glades. Where fear of storms had driven the monkeys into caves, Stone Monkey devised cliffside platforms that swayed in the wind but never broke. He taught the young how to navigate the crags, how to read cloud shapes for weather, how to pluck fronds of healing herbs. In every teaching, laughter accompanied learning and curiosity led the way. At night, they gathered beneath the moon. Stone Monkey would mount a favorite ledge and recite stories he'd heard from the windtails of seas that stretched beyond horizons, of mountains taller than flower fruit, of beings who soared through star-sprinkled skies. The tribe leaned in, enthralled by images of distant wonders, dreaming of what lay beyond their home. Yet even as Stone Monkey's reputation grew, so did a quiet restlessness in his heart. When the moon was full, he slipped away from the circle and climbed to the summit. There, he stood watch, eyes fixed on the swirling mists that shrouded the world below. "Why?" he whispered to the night breeze. "Does life fade like petals in autumn? Why must all that blossoms wither away? The wind sighed through pines, but offered no answer. Only the distant stars blinked, distant and silent. 1.3. The Coronation of the Great Sage. On the eve of a crimson sunset, the elders convened in the great hollow. Vines hung like curtains. Phosphorescent fungi lit the chamber with a gentle glow. Stone Monkey stood at the center, flanked by trembling elders and an assembly of thousands of monkeys. At a signala single blow of a hollow bamboo trumpet, gathering fell silent. The eldest of the elders, hoary brow, stepped forward. He held aloft a circlet carved from jade and brushed with gold leaf. "Stone Monkey," he proclaimed in a voice that quavered with age and awe, "you have brought prosperity, joy, and wisdom to our tribe. You have calmed storms, healed our wounds, and taught us the language of wind and stone. By the authority granted by Moon Mother and Earth Father, I bestow upon you the title Chi Tian Da Sheng Great Sage, Equal of Heaven." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Stone Monkey knelt and accepted the circlet. As its cool jade band settled upon his brow, light exploded like 1,000 suns. A wind surged to life, sweeping through the hollow, lifting leaves and hair alike. A distant echo, as though the heavens themselves had replied, trembled through the mountain. Stone Monkey rose, his figure bathed in golden radiance. He raised his arms, and the monkeys below cheered as one. In that moment, he was their king and their prophet, the very embodiment of Flower Fruit Mountain's spirit. But even as joy reigned, a subtle unease lingered in Stone Monkey's heart. For with power came questions, with adoration came responsibility. And in the hush of victory, the lonely question echoed louder than ever. Why must even the greatest of beings submit to the autumn of age? 1.4. The path-flowing cave and early wisdom. Rather than bask in his coronation, Stone Monkey returned to exploration. Guided by dreams of hidden knowledge, he discovered a cavern behind a waterfall, its entrance veiled by curtains of falling water. Inside, the walls glowed with mineral veins. The air was cool and fragrant. A subterranean stream wound through coral-shaped rock, murmuring secrets as it flowed. Stone Monkey followed the stream to its source, a crystal pool so still that it mirrored the ceiling's dripping stalactites. He knelt at the water's edge and gazed into his reflection. Then, as if compelled by some force, he dipped his hand into the pool. Instantly, ripples raced outward, carrying visions of faraway mountains, fierce battles, and solitary sages perched on cliff tops. He withdrew his hand and pressed his palm to the cavern wall. To his astonishment, words inscribed themselves in glowing script. "Only those who conquer self may conquer death." Stone Monkey read the phrase thrice, committing it to memory. He sensed that this Kavetha path-flowing cave was no mere grotto, but a vault of Earth's ancient wisdom. He spent days there, meditating beside the pool, listening to the water's endless song, pondering the enigmatic inscription. When he emerged, his eyes shone with new determination. Back among his tribe, he began to teach not only feats of strength and acrobatics, but also discipline of mind. He showed them how to still thoughts like settling mud, how to observe emotions as clouds drifting across the sky. Though some monkeys thought these practices strange, most followed eagerly. Stone Monkey's charisma and kindness inspired trust. Yet, whenever they adopted a mantra or mastering breath, Stone Monkey would drift away at dawn, disappearing into the mists with the words of the inscription echoing in his mind. 1.5. A Festival of Moonlight and Portents. One clear night, when the moon hung low and swollen, Stone Monkey led his tribe in a moonlight festival. Lanterns carved from gourds drifted on the stream. Drums echoed against rock faces. Feasts of fire-roasted fruits and honey cakes were passed around, mingling sweetness with the scent of spring blossoms. Monkeys danced in rings, reenacting tales of the mountain's birth, leaping high enough to touch the lambent lanterns. Stone Monkey stood apart, watching the revelry. A soft breeze carried the scent of distant honeysuckle and something else, something metallic, like the edge of a blade. He frowned, scanning the shadows beyond the circle of firelight. Then, in a tongue of flame, lightning split the sky. A single bolt struck near the waterfall cave, shattering stone and sending a tremor through the ground. The music stopped. Lanterns dimmed. Even the moon seemed to tremble. From the courtyard's edge, a tiny shaped Scarita silver serpent, no larger than a wrist. It paused beneath a lantern, its scales glinting in the tossed light. Stone Monkey recognized it from his visions, a messenger of the immortals. Wherever the serpent slipped, it left behind lilac smoke that curled toward the tree canopy before vanishing. Stone Monkey approached it cautiously. The serpent Hiseda sounds soft, yet resonant, as if two worlds whispered at once. Then it raised its head and spoke in a voice that rippled like water. "The heavens stir a storm for you, great sage. Seek the Lotus Master at the foot of Joyous Peak. There lies the path beyond mortal coils." Before Stone Monkey could reply, the serpent coiled and vanished into the underbrush. Behind him, the tribe stood frozen, eyes wide with awe and fear. Stone Monkey's heart thundered. The words of the path-flowing cave resurfaced. Only those who conquer self may conquer death. Now a new summons had come, one that promised answers to his deepest question. That night, sleep eluded him. The crackling of dying embers and distant drip of water kept him awake. By dawn's first light, he had made his choice. With the dawn rooster's cry still echoing, he packed a satchel of dried fruits, tied vines into a rope, and left a farewell note for the elders. "Friends and family, rejoice in all we have gained. I journey to Joyous Peak to learn what lies beyond life's cycle. May your dreams be ever bright." He pressed the note beneath a stone at the hollow's entrance and slipped away, unnoticed by all but the rising sun. 1.6 Departure into the unknown. Flower Fruit Mountain watched in silence as Stone Monkey vanished into the morning mist. Below him, waterfalls sang their farewell. The wind carried whispers of his deeds to hidden valleys and distant cliffs. The monkey tribe awoke to find only the circlet of jade on a rock beside the waterfall their leader had gone in pursuit of immortality. As Stone Monkey descended the eastern slopes, the path narrowed and grew steep. Ancient pines arched overhead, their needles filtering shafts of light onto mossy stone. Each footfall echoed with promise and peril. He paused at the edge of a ravine deeper than any he had known, peering into its shadowy depths. With a steady breath, he stepped onto a felled log bridging the chasm. The log wobbled but held. Halfway across, the wind gusted, and he steadied himself with a reach to an overhanging branch. Halfway through fear and triumph, he reached the other side. Beyond lay forests where sunbeams danced on ferns, and rivers whose clear currents ran past caves littered with fossilized shells. Every sight stirred his soul, reminders that the world stretched far beyond flower fruit. At midday, he paused by a glade ringed with flowering azalea. The scent was heady, petals drifted like snow. He sat among them, unslung his satchel, and broke fruit in half. As he ate, he contemplated the serpent's words and the cave's inscription. Immortality beckoned, but he knew the path would test him beyond anything he had faced. Narrator, softly. And so, guided by curiosity and courage, the Stone Monkey, now the great sage, set foot beyond the only home he had ever known. Each step carried him further from childhood and closer to the secrets of heaven and earth. Yet in his heart, he carried Flower Fruit Mountain always laughter, its wisdom, its silence. For no sage, however mighty, can sever the threads that bind him to home. As the light faded and evening drew its veil across the sky, Stone Monkey pressed on through shadowed woodland. Fireflies flickered like stars fallen to earth. Distant owls called with haunting sorrow. He knew the journey ahead would demand all his strength, all his wit, all his compassion, and perhaps, in the end, he would discover that the greatest power lies not in conquering death, but in understanding life. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Immortal Aspirations. When the great sage left Flower Fruit Mountain, he carried only a simple satchel of fruit and a heart ablaze with questions. Yet destiny guided his steps toward Joyous Peak, where immortals dwelt in palaces of cloud and moonlight. There, he hoped, lay the secrets that would conquer death itself. 2.1 Quest for the Lotus Master. By dawn's first glow, Stone Monkey had traversed valleys draped in mist and forded rivers whose waters ran cold as starlight. Each night, he slept beneath ancient pines, listening to wind songs that spoke of hidden realms. The serpent's riddle, "Seek the Lotus Master at the foot of Joyous Peak," echoed in his mind, entwined with the cavern's inscription, "Only those who conquer self may conquer death." On the third morning, he spied the towering silhouette of Joyous Peak rising above lower ranges like a white vase thrust into the sky. Its summit was lost among drifting clouds. Its slopes were draped with waterfalls that gleamed like silver threads. A narrow trail wound upward, carved by pilgrims' feet and overhung with rhododendron blossoms so vibrant they seemed to flame. As he climbed, monkey-shaped shadows flitted in the underbrush lesser spirits, perhaps, or guardians sent to test him. He greeted each silently, heart steady, mind focused on the promise of immortality. At midday, he paused beside a glade where lotus flowers floated in a pool of still water. Their petals were pure white, tinged at the edges with rose. He knelt to drink, and in the reflection saw not only his own face, but the flash of a crowned figure behind him. He turned, nothing was there, only the wind stirring petals in a secret dance. Stone Monkey rose, reverent. "Lotus Master," he murmured, "I come seeking the path beyond life's cycle. Show me the way." The petals drifted toward him, settling at his feet like a beckoning trail. With reverence, he followed them, and thus began his true pilgrimage. 2.2 The Mountain Gate of Tests. 2 hours later, he reached a gateway of jade columns carved with curling dragons. Above, a plaque read in characters that glowed faintly, "Enter only those whose spirit is unbroken." Stone Monkey placed his satchel on the mossy ground, lifted the circlet from his brow, and laid it atop the pack. "I will enter as I am," he declared. "No trappings of power shall guide me now." He stepped through the gate. Instantly, the world shifted. Color drained from the trees, the air grew still. Footsteps echoed unnaturally, as though he were surrounded by unseen watchers. Ahead lay 3 paths, one paved with white ash, one strewn with black stones, and one vanished into a tunnel of twisting roots. A voice, neither male nor female, whispered, "Choose wisely, great sage." Stone Monkey examined each. White ash would smother life. Black stones could bruise bones. The root tunnel whispered of confinement, yet only one offered insight. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the ash path. With each footfall, the ash crystallized into calligraphic characters that burned beneath his soulless phrases of doubt, fear, and regret. "You are unworthy. Immortality eludes fools. Return to your mountain." Pain flared as the words scorched his skin. He clenched his fists, closed his eyes, and remembered the cavern's teaching. Conquer self. In stillness, he let go of fear. The ash cooled. The words dissolved into harmless dust. He opened his eyes to find the path clear. Beyond, a swing made of silken vines dangled across a chasm. No bridge spanned the gulf, only the swing. Again, the voice, "Cross if you trust strength and spirit combined." Stone Monkey approached, eyed the chasm's depth, and without hesitation leapt onto the vine. It swung him across in a single graceful arc. Mid-air, he performed a somersault, landing lightly on the far side. A bell chimed. The ancient gate reappeared, and the world's colors returned. Standing before him was a robed figure, emanating calm authority, the Lotus Master. 2.3 Meeting Patriarch Subodhi. The Lotus Master's robes were pale as moonlight. His hair and beard were like drifting clouds. He offered a bent hand and spoke in a voice that rippled like wind through bamboo. "Welcome, Chi Tian Da Sheng. Few who bear titles of heaven dare kneel before humble masters." Stone Monkey dropped to one knee. "I have left my kingdom to learn the secrets of immortality," he said. "Guide me, O Lotus Master." The master smiled. "You possess great courage and cunning, but immortality requires more. Patience, discipline, and humility. Only then can you wield powers without being consumed by them. He led Stone Monkey across a courtyard of still water reflecting black pines and white clouds. Each step felt like walking among dreams. At the center stood a pavilion of jade, where incense curled in delicate spirals. "First lesson," said the master, "is the art of stillness." He motioned to a lotus petal floating on the pool. "Observe that petal. Do not breath, do not blink, do not stir. Let mind and body become one with its quiet drift." Stone Monkey seated himself, crossed his legs, and fixed his gaze. Minute after minute passed. His heart thundered, his mind roamed. Yet he recalled the path-flowing cave and stilled thought as stones settle in calm waters. When at last he stirred, the petal remained exactly where it began. The master nodded. "Stillness grants clarity. Now, the art of movement." He gestured to a nearby willow whose branches swayed without wind. "Imitate the willow's dance and never resist. Never fight. Always adapt." Stone Monkey rose and began a fluid sequence of leaps and turns. He felt both weightless and grounded, as though rooted by spirit rather than earth. When he finished, the master applauded. "Your spirit is supple, but power follows form." He handed Stone Monkey a gnarled staff of bamboo. "Tomorrow, you will learn to transform." 2.4. The 72 Transformations. At dawn, Stone Monkey awoke to find the courtyard filled with morning mist. The master stood by a reflecting pool whose surface was as smooth as glass. In his hand, he held a small pill, glowing faintly. "This," he said, "is the embryo of change. It awakens the spirit's malleability. Consume it, and you will unlock the first of many forms." Stone Monkey accepted it reverently and swallowed. Heat blossomed in his belly, his senses sharpened. He felt the pill's power weave through every fiber of his being. The master guided him to the edge of the pool. "Gaze into your reflection, see what lies beneath form." Stone Monkey looked and gasped. Not only did he see himself, but countless images swarmed. Sparrows, tigers, dragons, even clouds and waves. "Choose one," the master instructed. "Transform." Stone Monkey exhaled and touched the water's surface. His body shimmered, contracted, and in a swirl of mist, he reappeared as a golden carp, fins glinting like daytime stars. He leapt from the pool in fish form, arched in midair, and dissolved back into monkey shape on the bank. The master gestured to an ancient scroll that unrolled itself. "The 72 transformations grant mastery over body. But remember, each form you wear draws from its essence. Do not lose yourself in your masks." Thus began weeks of rigorous training. Each dawn, the master assigned a new creature or element: the nimble sparrow, the fierce tiger, the immovable mountain, the swirling wind. Stone Monkey learned to shift at will, embracing scales, feathers, claws, or inanimate form. He grew confident, a dragon soaring through clouds, water currents bending to his will, stone mountain unmoved by force. Yet in each triumph, he remembered the master's warning. In meditation, he would recall his original form and recommit to his true self. After 72 days, he stood before the master. "I have unlocked each transformation," he declared. The master closed the scroll. "Then you are ready for the final test. The cloud, somersault." 2.5. The cloud somersault and pilgrimage. Beyond the pavilion lay a high terrace opening onto the sky. The master pointed to a distant peak half a league away. Its summit was crowned with swirling clouds that glowed like moonlit silk. To cross that chasm without path or bridge, you must somersault upon the clouds. Each somersault carries you 10,000 leagues. Use mind and body as one trust neither alone. Stone Monkey approached the terrace's edge, heart pounding. He recalled every lesson: stillness, flow, form, and humility. He crouched, gathered chi to his dantian, energy center, and leapt. His form became blur. He spun like a wind-driven leaf. Clouds gathered beneath him in swirling eddies. His momentum carried him upward, vaulting the gap in a single breathtaking arc. He landed on the foreign peak with perfect grace, dust rising like a faint mist. Below, the Lotus Master evacuated the courtyard with a nod. You have transcended mortal bounds, great sage. You have mastered change and flight. You are worthy to learn the final secret. He led Stone Monkey into a hidden grotto whose walls were inlaid with golden lotus petals. At its center hovered a jade vessel glowing with inner light. From its spout dripped a silvery elixir of immortality. "Drink," said the master. "With this, you bind your spirit to life's endless flow." Stone Monkey hesitated memories of his tribe, and the path-flowing inscription pulled at his heart. Yet his quest had brought him here. He raised the vessel and drank. A sensation of vast peace flooded him. His cells hummed as though awakened by celestial song. The vessel vanished, and in its place floated a simple mantra inscribed in light, "Life unfolds beyond time." The master placed a hand on Stone Monkey's shoulder. "Go now, bearer of the elixir. Your destiny calls you back to Flower Fruit Mountain and beyond. Remember always, immortal though you may be, your greatest power lies in compassion and wisdom." 2.6 Return with Secrets. Stone Monkey emerged from the grotto at twilight. The sky was painted in violet and rose. Distant stars shimmered. He bowed deeply to the Lotus Master, who smiled and faded into mist like moon-washed clouds. Clutched in his satchel was a vial of elixir, and in his mind burned the mantra. His body felt lighter than ever, thoughts clear, heart open. Yet he did not hurry home. He lingered on Joyous Peak's summit, gazing eastward toward Flower Fruit Mountain, now but a distant silhouette against dawn's glow. Thus the great sage, equal of heaven, acquired the magic arts that would make him feared and revered across all realms. He mastered 72 transformations, somersaulted upon clouds, and tasted the elixir of immortality. Yet his journey was only half complete. Armed with power but guided by wisdom, he must now return and face tests far greater than any gate or trial he had known. With a final deep breath, Stone Monkey executed the cloud somersault. In a flash of cloud and wind, he vanished from Joyous Peak bound for home, but destined to challenge the very order of heaven itself. End of Chapter 2.
Chapter 3. Great Havoc in Heaven. Armed with immortal arts and the elixir of life, the great sage returned to Flower Fruit Mountain only to discover that his power had grown too vast for any earthly realm. Unwilling to be confined by mortal limits, he turned his gaze upward toward the celestial court itself. 3.1 The Rebel's Resolve. As dawn broke over Flower Fruit Mountain, Stone Monkey, now the great sage, equal of heaven, stood atop the highest cliff. His fur gleamed with newfound vigor, his eyes blazed with ambition. Around him, the monkey tribe awoke to find their leader absent once more. Yet this time, he would not wander secret caves or distant peaks. He took the Ruyi Jingu Bangus iron staff weapon, now capable of shrinking to a needle or expanding to pierce the cloud sand, stretched it between two fingers. With a grin, he whispered, "Stone Monkey, heaven boasts of its might, but I have tasted immortality itself. Now I shall claim my rightful place among the stars." He summoned clouds beneath his feet, and in 3 bounds each 10,000 leagues, soared toward the broad expanse of heaven. 3.2 Arrival at the Dragon Palace. First, he passed the Dragon Palace beneath the Eastern Sea, where the Dragon Kings held court among kelp forest and pearls. A great coral gate swung open at his arrival, and the third Dragon King, Ao Guang, emerged clad in sea foam armor. Ao Guang haughty, what mortal dares disturb my halls? Stone Monkey, bowing mockingly, I seek a royal gift for my court on Flower Fruit Mountain, something worthy of the great sage. Under threat of his magic staff, Stone Monkey coerced Ao Guang into presenting the legendary Ruyi Jingu Bang, the compliant golden-hooped rod, once the pillar that supported the tides themselves. Ao Guang, reluctant, "It is yours, great sage, but know that its power balances the sea and sky." With the staff in hand, Stone Monkey left the Dragon Palace trembling, his laughter echoing like thunder. 3.3 Petition to the Jade Emperor. At last he arrived at the Celestial Gate, its golden beams framing clouds of jade mist. Guards of immortal generals wielded meteor-forged spears, but none dared block the great sage's path. He strode into the heavenly court, where the Jade Emperor sat on a throne of sun-forged gold. Jade Emperor, calm but firm, who challenges heaven's order? Stone Monkey boldly. I am Qi Tian Da Sheng Great Sage, equal of heaven. Gasps filled the hall, candles flickered, a silence settled as heavy as winter frost. The Jade Emperor frowned. Jade Emperor, equal to heaven? What lord of hell are you? Stone Monkey, I mastered Earth's secrets and the immortals' arts. I command the tides and the winds. I bow to no ruler yet. I demand a title befitting my station. Court musicians fell silent. Immortals exchanged uneasy glances. The Jade Emperor returned Stone Monkey's stare. Jade Emperor, so be either face the celestial laws. We shall confer with the 9 Yuan masters. 3.4 small honors and growing pride. After much debate, the Jade Emperor consented to placate the great sage with a minor post. Keeper of the heavenly horses, responsible for grooming the emperor's steeds. A modest stall was prepared in the court's back courtyard. Stone Monkey inspected the stable's 5 horses, dustless silk rugs, golden buckets of spring water. He tried to feign satisfaction, but fury glowed behind his eyes. That night he sneaked into the yard, mounted one of the horses, and pulverized its stall with one swing of his rod. He freed the horses, stampeded them through the palace, and roared with laughter as immortal guards fled in terror. By morning, the celestial court was in uproar. The Jade Emperor, his robes immaculate, confronted the great sage before assembled hosts. Jade Emperor, exasperated, you ruin my stables and mock heaven's decree. Stone Monkey grinning, then give me the title you fear. Grant me equality with heaven, or you will rue trying to bind me. 3.5 Rebellion in the heavenly court. When the Jade Emperor refused, Stone Monkey declared war on heaven. He led legions of summoned spirits, monstrous generals, cloud spirits, and sea demonsto occupy the Mirror Pool Pavilion and the Meal Replacement Hall. He hurled thunderbolts at palace gates, uprooted jade pillars, and sent immortal scribes fleeing through corridors of flame. The skies blackened with smoke, lightning danced like dragons amid the clouds. The great sage thundered across the battlements, his laughter shaking the heavens. Even the fierce celestial archer Yi could not pin him with arrows. The 4 divine beasts recoiled before his might. Immortal armies mobilized. Columns of silver-armored soldiers marched beneath banners of cloud silk. Winged generals descended with flaming lances. The celestial drum hall beat its war drums. Yet no force could halt Stone Monkey. He capered through the front lines, vaulted over siege towers, and shattered divine artillery with a single blow. He planted his staff in the court square and twirled it, sending shockwaves that toppled pavilions. 3.6 Equal of heaven. At the height of chaos, the Jade Emperor summoned the most potent weapon at his disposal. A single Buddha's palm scroll imbued with the Buddha's compassion and cosmic sanction. He called upon Pilgrim King Lao Tzu, the guardian of cosmic harmony, to banish the great sage. Lao Tzu appeared astride a jade tiger bearing a talisman that glowed with transcendental light. He spoke once and the world itself quaked. Lao Tzu, voice of autumn wind, Stone Monkey, son of the mountains, ease your rebellion or face the end of days. Stone Monkey sneered, struck his rod against heaven's floor and carved a crater that spewed molten cloud. He shouted back, Stone Monkey, I bow to no one, not heaven, not Buddha. In that moment, the Jade Emperor rose and proclaimed, Jade Emperor, henceforth, you shall truly be equal of Heaven Qi Tian Da Sheng. Your name is inscribed in the celestial register. A bolt of divine thunder inscribed 3 characters above the court, Si Ten Da Sing. The hall fell silent. Yet Stone Monkey's eyes glowed with unquenched fire. He accepted the title, but not the surrender. With a final roar, he spun his staff and, vaulting into the sky, vanished into a pillar of black smoke. 3.7 Flight and the Buddha's trial. For weeks, heaven sought the rogue sage. He struck at the pillar of jade stability, uprooted the tree of immortality, and toyed with divine patrols. No force could bind him. Finally, the Jade Emperor humbled himself before the Buddha, beseeching his aid. The Buddha descended in a silent cloud, his presence calming storms. He addressed the great sage from the summit of flaming mountain. Buddha, voice like rolling eternity, you boast mastery of the heavens, yet you know not the bounds of your own spirit. Come, great sage, strike my palm 3 times, and you shall see true measure of power. Stone Monkey leapt to atop the Buddha's hand and struck once, twice, thrice, yet each blow met only empty space. Frustrated, he churned the air with his staff, but found only the unyielding stillness of Buddha's palm. At last, a calm voice echoed, "Buddha, look beneath you." He peered downward and beheld himself imprisoned beneath a mountain of 5 iron peaks, each inscribed with the words, "Quiet, unruly." 3.8, captured by compassion. Stone Monkey roared in fury, battered the iron mountain, and shook the world with blows. Yet the peaks did not budge. Exhausted at last, he spat fire and thunder in defiance, but the mountain sealed tighter, its fiery core dulling his flame. And so the great sage equal of heaven found himself humbled not by force, but by an unyielding compassion that outmatched his pride. Beneath 5 fingers of iron, he learned that power without restraint invites its own prison. As he fumed beneath the mountain, the Buddha's words drifted down. "Buddha, true freedom lies not in rebellion, but in understanding the self. Remain here until your heart is pure." And there, for 5 centuries, the great sage lay buried as brilliance tempered by the patience of stone. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4. Capture, Redemption. For 5 centuries, the mountain of iron lay silent atop the great Sagehi's roar subdued, his pride humbled. Yet within the dark forge of suffering, a deeper wisdom took root. Now destiny would call him forth again, not as rebel, but as protector. 4.1 5 centuries beneath the mountain. Beneath the iron peaks inscribed "Quiet, Unruly," Sun Wukong lay trapped. Day after day, his staff lay out of reach. Day after day, thoughts churned like stormy seas. He beat the rock with fiery blows only to crack knuckles and spark little more than sparks of frustration. Stone Monkey, voice echoing in the cavern, "How long must I suffer for heaven's slight? How long before I break these bonds?" But the mountain would not yield, and time wore on. In the blackness, Sun Wukong's vision expanded inward. He saw the shadows of his anger, the flicker of his envy, the ache of his loneliness. He remembered the words of the Lotus Master, "Compassion tempers power." Slowly, the thunder in his heart quieted. He ceased his strikes and lay still, recalling the art of stillness he once mastered. In the stillness, a single thought arose. Perhaps my true prison was not the mountain, but my own heart. As centuries passed, his breathing deepened into meditation. He envisioned the flower fruit mountain, its laughter, its light, and felt no envy, only warmth. Beneath the iron, the sage's spirit bloomed as a lotus in mud. 4.2 The monk's mission? Far away, in the Tang dynasty's imperial capital, Emperor Taizong grew troubled by omens of drought and famine. His court astrologers proclaimed that only the sacred scriptures of Buddhism, long lost to China, could restore harmony. The emperor summoned the virtuous monk Tang Sanzanga, man of gentle heart and unwavering faith. Emperor Taizong grave, "Sanzang, you must journey to the west, to the Thunderclap Monastery in India. There lie the true sutras. Bring them home, and our land shall flourish." With the emperor's blessing and a modest retinue of attendants, Tang Sanzang set out. Clad in saffron robes, he carried only a begging bowl, a handful of relics, and the faith that would guide him. Thus began the great pilgrimage fraught with peril, for the road from China to India was haunted by demons who coveted the monk's flesh, believing it could grant them immortality. 4.3 The Saint's First Test. Weeks after crossing the desert sands of the western regions, Tang Sanzang came to a narrow gorge. Its cliffs loomed like silent sentinels, and a rickety bridge creaked in the wind. As he entered, the bridge snapstones fell into the river below, stranding him mid-span. From the shadows, a voice hissed, "Monk, yield your flesh, and your master will pass unscathed." Tang Sanzang trembled. He knelt, began reciting a sutra, and prayed for deliverance. Moments later, a bolt of golden light cleaved the sky. Voice resonant, "Stand aside, demon!" A figure appeared above the gorge, hair wild, eyes aglow, wielding a somber staff. With one stroke, the broken stones reassembled. With another, the demon wailed and fled into the darkness. The newcomer landed lightly beside the monk, offering a palm. "Stranger, I am Sun Wukong. Though I once was lost, I now seek to serve the righteous." Tang Sanzang awed. "Great sage, you have saved me. Will you accompany me on my journey?" Sun Wukong, By your leave, master, I vow to protect you from all harm. And so the first bond was forged, the monkey's valor pledged to the monk's compassion. 4.4 A trial in the mountain temple. Their path led them to a secluded mountain temple, said to house an ancient bell that chimed truths. The temple's gate was padlocked, vines knotted its door. Yet, as dusk fell, a ghostly monk emerged in tattered robes, his eyes hollow. Ghost monk, I cannot find peace. Ring the bell, and I may pass. Tang Sanzang hesitated, sensing a trap. Sun Wukong leapt forward, staff in hand. Sun Wukong, speak your name, spirit. Only then will I aid you. The ghost whispered, I was once a temple guardian, consumed by pride. I shattered the bell's heart and was cursed. None would ring it for me. With a nod, Sun Wukong shattered the padlock, pried the door, and led the monk inside. In the courtyard stood the great bell, its interior shattered, its exterior pitted. Sun Wukong pressed a palm to its side. His staff glowed. He transformed into a great hammer, each swing forging the bell's core anew. With a final strike, the bell rang its tone deep and pure. A shaft of moonlight illuminated the ghost mono free. His features softened with gratitude. He bowed deeply and vanished in a swirl of petals. Tang Sanzang softly, your compassion redeems even the lost great sage. Sun Wukong smiling wryly, and your mercy guides my strength, master. 4.5 The White Bone Demon's Deception. Further on, they entered a valley where bones gleamed beneath the sands. The white bone, demon cunning, and cruel lurked there, intent on devouring the monk's flesh. She assumed 3 guises in quick succession. First as a village maiden, then as an elderly matron, then as the monk's cherished wife. Each time, Sun Wukong saw through the illusion and slew her minions. But Tang Sanzang, bound by precept to spare life, reproached the monkey. Tang Sanzang tears in his eyes. Great sage, you are too fierce. I cannot bear to see such death. Sun Wukong frustrated. Master, these are demons. They wear flesh to trick you and slay you. On the third encounter, the white bone demon seized Tang Sanzang's hand, whispering false regrets. The monk, heart softened, struck Sun Wukong's staff from his hand in fear. Tang Sanzang, be gone. I trust neither demon nor monkey. Sun Wukong did not hesitate. He vanished into the night, leaving his master vulnerable. At dawn, the demon revealed her true form and attacked. Before she could strike, Sun Wukong returned in a whirlwind of cloud, staff spinning like a sunwheel. In a flash, the demon was impaled, her screams echoing off the valley walls. Then, Sun Wukong swept the blood-stained sand, bowed to his master, and stood silent as dawn broke. Tang Sanzang wept, bowing before the monkey. Tang Sanzang, voice trembling, forgive me, great sage. My doubt cost you dear. Sun Wukong kneeling, my duty is to protect, master even when you doubt me. We walk this path together. 4.6 The Buddha's Compassionate Intervention. Their greatest trial came as they approached the flaming mountain, whose perpetual blaze barred passage. The only passage lay beneath a narrow tunnel choked with flames. No mortal or immortal had crossed it. Sun Wukong plunged forward, staff blazing, but the fire bent around him like a living thing searing his fur and crackling with fierce laughter. Tang Sanzang could not follow, forced to watch. Sun Wukong roaring, stand aside, flame. I have vowed to protect my master. He dashed into the inferno, striking with all his might. Each blow struck only hotter flame. Each movement birthed new conflagrations. Exhausted, he tumbled back, singed and scorched. As the flames licked the tunnel entrance, the monk stepped forward, holding aloft a single lotus blossom. Tang Sanzang, softly chanting, great compassion, guide me. At his words, the blossom burst into living flame-cool and azure, weaving a path through the blaze. The fire paused, bowing before purity. Sun Wukong rose, eyes shining, and together they passed through. Beyond the flaming tunnel lay a plateau, where the Laughing Buddha awaited, seated upon a rock of crystal. Laughing Buddha smiling, well done, disciples, your trials have tested strength and faith, but the final barrier is not of flame, it is within. He pointed to a mirror of polished obsidian. Laughing Buddha, gaze upon your reflection. Sun Wukong and Tang Sanzang peered in. The monkey saw his own pride lurking behind his eyes. The monk saw his own doubt seared across his brow. Laughing Buddha, only when strength yields to wisdom and faith overcomes fear will the sutras be revealed. With a clap, the mirror shattered. A staircase of jade petals spiraled upward. At its summit, a scroll glowed with living light, the true scriptures. Sun Wukong stepped forward, bowed deeply to Tang Sanzang, and offered him the scroll. Sun Wukong, Master, you have guided me from rebel to protector. Now I serve at your side as we bring this wisdom home. Tang Sanzang, smiling through tears, and I owe you my life, great sage. Together, we complete this sacred journey. 4.7, the path continues. Clutching the sutras, the pilgrims descended toward China, hearts alight with triumph. Behind them, the laughing Buddha's laughter rung like temple bells, a blessing upon their union of strength and faith. So was the great sage redeemed not by force, but by compassion and guidance. Beneath iron and flame, he found the true measure of power. And side by side with the monk Tang Sanzang, he would continue westward into ever greater adventures. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5, Journey to the West. With the sacred sutras in hand and hearts alight, the pilgrims press onward toward the western sea. But their company would grow, drawing together three unlikely heroes, each seeking redemption, each destined to shape the legend of the great sage. 5.1 Companions gather. As Tang Sanzang and Sun Wukong descended the jade petal staircase, they paused beside a rushing river fed by the flaming mountain's runoff. There they encountered Zhu Baji, the pig demon, born of heavenly banishment for his gluttony and lechery. Zhu Baji, mangy grin, monk, what fine robes you wearin', what fruit you carry? Sun Wukong leapt between them, staff at the ready, but Tang Sanzang raised a calm hand. Tang Sanzang gentle, friend, our journey is fraught with hunger and peril. Will you join us and earn your penance? Zhu Baji's eyes flickered with hope and hunger. He bowed low and swore to protect the monk in exchange for half the rations and the promise of indulgence upon arrival. Farther on, they reached a desolate gorge where Sha Wujing, the river ogre, stood sentinel beside a broken cliff. His skin was the hue of wet stone. A skull necklace rattled as he surveyed traveler sand, counted their sins. Sha Wujing, voice low as mist, no soul passes without tribute, gold or flesh, the river demands its toll. Sun Wukong sensed the ogre's regret buried beneath his fierce demeanor. He offered a hand. Sun Wukong, firm, release your bitterness. Join us, and you shall have both forgiveness and purpose. Sha Wujing hesitated, then clanked his chakram staff to the ground. Sha Wujing, bowing. Then I shall bear my fault and guard your flank until the sutras reach the Tang. Thus, the quartet was forged. Monk, monkey, pig, and a griache flawed, each seeking absolution, each bound by faith and friendship. 5.2 Demon of the White Deer. Their first test came beneath the mysterious forest, where a demon in the shape of a white deer lured travelers into its jaws. By day, it grazed peacefully. By night, it transformed into a massive pale stag with antlers like gnarled bone. As dusk fell, the deer led them onto a hill flecked with moonlight. Beneath its gaze, the foliage wriggled with shadow-scoiling serpent demons eager for prey. Soulful flute music drifted on the breeze. Zhu Baji, ever hungry, approached the deer to offer a peach. In an instant, the creature reared and roared, jaws wide, revealing rows of ivory fangs. Sun Wukong sprang up, staff whirling. He blocked the deer's charge and delivered a crushing blow that cracked antler to ear. The demon stag dissolved into mist, revealing the false deer's true form, a snarling forest fiend. Sha Wujing swept up the demon's tail in his staff loop and spun it into submission. Zhu Baji drove it into the earth with a single thrust. Tang Sanzang chanted a sutra, and the demon's tortured spirit was freed, leaving behind only a white feather. Tang Sanzang softly, may your spirit find peace, once bound by the illusions of the forest. Sun Wukong smiling, one lesson, never trust a gift that costs nothing. 5.3 The Pill Demon's Ambush. Beyond the forest lay the pill capital, where 3 demon kings trafficked in stolen elixirs. They lured pilgrims with promises of miraculous pills grants of youth, vigor, and enlightenment. Zhu Baji grew greedy at the sight of those gleaming vials, and as Tang Sanzang hesitated before the palace gates, the demons struck, poisoning the springs and igniting the pill furnaces to turn the palace into a furnace of temptation. Sun Wukong smirked and donned the golden headband that regulated his power. He darted into the palace, retrieving the stolen elixir and hurling it into the river. Pill smoke rose in violet clouds. The demon's power ebbed. Sha Wujing seized the largest king by the throat, while Zhu Baji tripped the second with a gust of fetid breath. The third tried to flee, but Tang Sanzang's staff-marked mantra bound him in place, and a final sutra banished him from the world of flesh. Sun Wukong, brandishing his staff. Fools, you traffic in false immortality. True life is earned, not bought. 5.4. The Kingdom of Women. Their journey next led to a hidden realm ruled solely by women warrior queens, shaped by loss of loved ones to pilgrimage misadventures. They welcomed the pilgrims with silk and song, but at night their song turned to binding enchantments. Tang Sanzang awoke to find vines crawling over his body. Sun Wukong leapt into battle, felling tree sentinels that bore down on him. Zhu Baji wielded his rake to cut bindings. Sha Wujing collapsed the bamboo cages. At dawn, the queen herself appeared, a woman of terrible beauty, crowned in withered flowers. Queen, voice like whined through reeds, we once lost our men to Pilgrim's Call. Now you shall join the eternal companions in this kingdom. Tang Sanzang knelt in sorrow and recited the Heart Sutra. A pillar of light dispelled the enchantment. Sun Wukong leapt onto the queen's dais and shattered her jade throne with one blow, declaring, Sun Wukong, this path is perilous, yet guided by faith in each other and in the sutras we bear. Freed from enchantment, the women wept for their lost kin. The pilgrims departed beneath tears and blessing, stronger for the trial. Symph Sha Wujing's sacrifice. As they approached the Jade River, the currents churned with malevolent force, the work of a water demon who demanded a human tribute every lunar cycle. Sha Wujing stepped forward without hesitation. Sha Wujing solemn, I have erred in ages past. Let my sin be my offering. He dove into the swirling rapids, and the demon's tendrils ensnared him. Above the water's roar, his voice rang clear. Sha Wujing, I atone for selfishness now. I give myself that others may live. Seeing their comrades sacrifice, Sun Wukong and Zhu Baji attacked the demon's watery form. Sun Wukong's staff struck true, while Zhu Baji's rake bound the creature in kelp. Tang Sanzang chanted, and the demon dissolved into foam. But Sha Wujing lay motionless upon the shore, breath stilled. The monkey and pig knelt, weeping. Tang Sanzang placed a healing relic on the ogre's chest and chanted the medicine Buddha's name. After a tense moment, Sha Wujing stirred, opened his eyes, and smiled weakly. Sha Wujing hoarse, my life was yours, and now it remains, for our journey must not end. 5.6 Arrival at the Thunderclap Monastery. At last, they glimpsed the distant spires of Thunderclap Monastery, a cluster of white towers glimmering beneath the morning sun. But before them lay the final gate, a labyrinth of mist so dense even clouds could not penetrate. Sun Wukong somersaulted through the haze. Zhu Baji hollered to clear a path. Sha Wujing stepped with measured caution, and Tang Sanzang recited sutras that knit the mist into ribbons of light. Within the labyrinth's heart stood a guardian spirited ancient yew tree, whose roots ran deep as history, whose branches bore the weight of untold prayers. Tree spirit, voice in the rustle of leaves, only those who carry the weight of all lives can pass. Each pilgrim laid a hand on the bark. Sun Wukong felt his memories surge, playful childhood, fierce battles, bitter chains beneath iron. Zhu Baji saw his follies mirrored cruel jokes, gluttonous binges, endless regrets. Sha Wujing sensed the countless souls he had claimed. Tang Sanzang perceived every doubter and every faithful follower he had inspired. In shared empathy, they joined hands. Light surged from their hearts, suffused the tree, and the maze dissolved. Beyond lay a marble courtyard, and at its center, the true scriptures bound in silk, inscribed in gold. After trials of illusion, temptation, sacrifice, and compassion, the pilgrims stood before their prize. 4 soul sons fractured by pride, hunger, regret, and doubt were now bound as one, the living embodiment of faith's power. Sun Wukong bowed to Tang Sanzang, laying his staff before him. Zhu Baji and Sha Wujing knelt in reverence. The monk lifted the sutras aloft, and a tremor rippled through the earthen oath, unspoken but absolute, that the path home would endure any storm. End of Chapter 5. Chapter 6. Legacy, Reflections. At journey's end, the pilgrims returned triumphant sutras in hand, hearts transformed, yet their tale did not conclude at the palace gates. Across centuries, Sun Wukong's legend has rippled through art and story, inspiring generations to seek courage, compassion, and self-knowledge. 6.1 Enlightenment of the Great Sage. As Tang Sanzang presented the sacred scriptures to Emperor Taizong, court and commoner alike marveled at the monk's companions, especially the monkey who once challenged heaven itself. Yet Sun Wukong remained humble. In the palace's grand hall, the emperor addressed the assembly. Emperor Taizong solemn. These sutras bring wisdom's light to our land, and the great sage, who bore trials beyond imagination, has proven that true power lies in service and restraint. He bestowed upon Sun Wukong a new title protector of the Dharma and erected a gilded shrine in his honor. The great sage knelt in gratitude, then rose to join his brothers in faith. That night, beneath lanterns of paper and silk, the pilgrims feasted with nobles and peasants alike. Music drifted on the autumn breeze, dancers spun tales in shadow and light. Amid the celebration, Sun Wukong slipped away to the palace gardens, where moonlight painted silver patterns on lotus pools. He stood before his reflection in the still water and spoke softly. Sun Wukong, once I sought power to conquer death, but found only chains of pride. Now I guard life's wisdom, not for my own glory, but for all who seek the path. Now, a lotus bloom that is feet white as dawnet's petals unfolding in quiet blessing. 6.2 Symbolism in Chinese culture. Across dynasties, the tale of Sun Wukong has been retold in opera, painting, and verse. His image staff in hand, eyes alight symbolizes both rebellion against injustice and the triumph of humility. Opera and theater. Peking opera performers don bright makeup to capture Wukong's mischief and might. Their acrobatic feats echo his cloud, somersaults. Their dialogue bristles with quick wit and courage. Visual arts. Painters depict him at the moment of his celestial rebellion, staff raised against the Jade Emperor's court, or at peace beneath the Buddha's mountain, tempered by compassion. Literature and film. Modern authors and filmmakers draw on his journey to explore themes of personal growth, the limits of power, and the bonds of friendship. Through each retelling, Sun Wukong reminds us true strength lies not in domination, but in the surrender of ego to a greater cause. 6.3 Lessons of the Journey. The pilgrim's path from Flower Fruit Mountain to Thunderclap Monastery offers enduring lessons. Curiosity and courage. Stone Monkey's wonder led him to seek immortality. His courage carried him through gates of trial. Discipline and humility. Under Patriarch Subodhi's guidance, he mastered transformations but never lost sight of his true self. Compassion over conquest. His rebellion against heaven taught him the cost of unchecked pride. Buddha's mountain taught him the power of restraint. Faith and fellowship. In Tang Sanzang's faith in his companion's loyalty, he found purpose beyond power. Each lesson resonates today, guiding listeners to balance ambition with empathy and strength with wisdom. 6.4 The tale's enduring impact. Even now, pilgrims walk the paths of Mount Wu, retracing Tang Sanzang's footsteps in ritual reenactments. Monasteries chant the sutras he brought, and scholars debate the deeper meanings of his trials. In popular culture, Wukong appears as a hero sometimes flawed, always striving. Video games cast him as a nimble fighter, novels reimagine him as a trickster, philosopher, yet at heart remains the same essence, a being born of earth, who learned that the greatest journey is the one inward. 6.5 Reflections for the listener. Dear listener, you have traveled with the great sage across realms of myth and spirit. Consider this. In your own life, where do you seek power? Where might you temper ambition with compassion? And who accompanies you on your journey, friends who challenge and uplift you alike? Pause, breathe, and let the story settle in your heart as gently as lotus petals on still water. Closing benediction. May Sun Wukong's daring inspire your boldness, his humility guide your strength, and his compassion kindle your kindness. Though his staff may rest and his somersaults cease, the essence of his journey remains an eternal reminder that within each of us lies both monkey and sage. May your path be ever enlightening, and your spirit ever free. Ambient sound, distant temple bells, gentle wind through bamboo, closing with the soft chant of a Buddhist sutra. End of Chapter 6. Thank you for listening. May the legacy of the Monkey King live on in your adventures. Subscribe for more myths.